National 9 Newsbreak, brought to you by ANZ.
From National 9 News, this is Nightline with Hugh Riminton.
Good evening and welcome to an abbreviated Nightline tonight before we cross to Wimbledon. History tonight in Canberra with Indonesia's first democratically elected president, Abdurrahman Wahid, arriving for top-level talks. President Wahid was delayed with aircraft problems, but tonight was given a state reception by the Governor-General.
It's more than a quarter of a century since an Indonesian president has visited Australia. Abdurrahman Wahid finally ending what has been a long diplomatic drought when he was met by the Governor-General at Canberra's Fairbairn Air Base. Despite his tenuous grip on his country's leadership, the government is hopeful that President Wahid's visit will herald a thaw in relations between the two countries in the wake of tensions over Australia's role in East Timor.
It is the desire, I know, of the government and I'm sure of the broader Australian community to move on from those difficulties.
The President's schedule was hastily rearranged after aircraft problems forced an unscheduled stopover in Darwin. Following a state reception tonight at Government House, President Wahid will hold official talks with the Prime Minister tomorrow. Laurie Wilson reporting for Nightline.
After months of industrial action in New South Wales, culminating in a blockade of state parliament last week, the union movement has surrendered in its bitter battle against workers' compensation reforms. The Labor Council held talks with the government today and conceded the bill will pass. On Wednesday, union leaders will use a satellite hookup to tell their members what the package means. A close call today for a group of American businessmen when their aircraft made an emergency landing in southern New South Wales. The right engine of the charter plane burst into flames. With the nearest airfield closed because of fog, the pilot had to fly more than 40 kilometres to Cootamundra. Some of the 9 people on board were treated for minor injuries before continuing their journey by road. Medical experts say a deadly new strain of flu currently sweeping New Zealand could reach Australia within weeks. Pregnant women, the elderly and sufferers of diabetes, heart disease and asthma are particularly at risk.
New Zealand's flu outbreak is nearing epidemic levels and it won't be long before the 2 strains causing the problem, A Moscow and A New Caledonia, board a plane for Australia. It's always an educated guess as to which 3 strains should go into the flu shot, but this year's vaccine does protect against Moscow and New Caledonia. Doctors hope it will prevent the predicted death toll of 2,000 people.
We see deaths every year in Australia from flu. We see it in young people who have diabetes and cancer and other high-risk groups, but we also see it in the over 65s.
So far, the New Zealand flu rate is 10 times higher than normal, and if the rate is the same when it hits here, doctors say we'll have a major problem because only half the people in the high-risk groups have received their flu vaccines. Cheryl Taylor for Nightline.
Rescue authorities fear the death toll from a severe earthquake in southern Peru will rise dramatically as they clear the rubble from hundreds of flattened homes. At least 70 people have been confirmed killed so far, with thousands injured. The earthquake measured 7.9 on the Richter scale. Golfer Kari Webb has been confirmed in the ranks of Australian sporting greats, becoming at 26 the youngest woman to win a career Grand Slam. The Queenslander took out the LPGA tournament by 2 strokes after almost pulling out of the final round after learning her grandfather had suffered a stroke. And the recycled maroon, Alan Alfie Langer, has passed a medical, clearing him for his surprise return to State of Origin duties this Sunday. In perhaps the biggest selection shock in State of Origin history, Langer has been called back from the British Rugby League competition to play once again for Queensland, despite being just a few weeks short of 35 and having played his last game for the Broncos 2 years ago. To the national weather now, and tomorrow should be fine in Darwin and Brisbane, fine as well in Sydney, mostly fine in Canberra and Melbourne, showers in Hobart and Adelaide, a fine day expected in Perth. And that was the day. I'm Hugh Riminton. Good night.